Very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I warmly welcome all of you to StudyIQ. I hope you all are doing good this morning. Let's have a positive start. Silence is a source of great strength, has been said by Lao Tzu. Now, the big question for you guys is, what do you understand by silence, right? Is it a verbal silence or is it on a much subtle level called mental silence? Is it a sort of block or stopping all this, worrying thoughts? Or is it just not speaking or not uttering words from your mouth? What do you understand by this silence? Think about it. If you want, you can share your thoughts as well in the comment section of this video. With this, dear friends, we have many important articles. You can see 7 articles on your screen, but not all of them are that important. Now, items that we will analyze in detail is of course this one. This one is about USA and India, and recently we see this thing that India has started or you can say that the stance of India has changed a little bit, right? Just in shades, but these shades are giving out a very important signal. What this signal is all about, we'll go through it in detail. Then you have this preemptive strike. This one is about repo rate, this hike in repo rate. We'll analyze it in detail, of course. This one is defend the deal. It is about JCPOA. Now, regular students, you know many things about, I believe, not many, but mostly everything about JCPOA, isn't it now? So we will give a sort of latest, just add-ons, couple of points, maybe 2 or 3 points max, and that would be more than enough. You, of course, can have a quick glance over this editorial here. This one is about, does Modi swing elections? A pure political article. It is basically talking about numbers, figures, why we should rely on, or why we need more data before coming to a conclusion. So again, it's not important for your examination. If you are interested in politics, then you can have a quick glance over it. As far as your examination are concerned, this article is not that important at all. This one is about Monsoon Yagna. We will quickly go through it. See, here in this article, you find a couple of items associated with history, politics, and religion. These items are important, so we will analyze these things here. This one is about limits to dialogue. Now, Kaveri water sharing agreement, right? We have talked about it in detail. Remember, I have provided you pictures and everything on February 17. The Hindu analysis, good pictures were provided to you. In between as well, I remember I have provided you pictures about background and decision of Supreme Court, final verdict. We have gone through updates, just like JCPOA, we have gone through all these important updates about this Kaveri deal. Now, the thing is, this article is talking about recently Kamal Hassan. He's a famous movie actor. He said this statement that people-to-people contact should be the first step, and courts should be the last door that we should knock as far as this Kaveri or water sharing issues are concerned. Now, the thing is, see both the sides, right? You have Karnataka, you have Tamil Nadu. These are the two states that are very aggressive as far as this Kaveri water issue is concerned. Both the states, they have their own problems. I'm not saying that one particular state is right and the other is wrong. No, both of them, they have legitimate issues. Now, the best way to do this thing, now everything is being sorted out, right? We have got this new, you can say, clarification from central government in Supreme Court. Recently, Supreme Court rejected this Tamil Nadu's application of contempt of court has been rejected by Supreme Court, because Supreme Court as well does not want this issue to stretch for another couple of years, right? Now, everything is talked about, everything is sorted out. The best thing that we can do is make sure that what we have on paper is implemented on the ground. And once we do this thing, and if we add some water conservation methods, micro irrigation, and all these things, then we can create this people-to-people contact. At present, the political, scenario is a bit furious, so there is less chances of people-to-people contact here, but it's not that bad as well. So this article is basically, this is the gist of this article. If you want to read, you can. If you don't want to, then as well, it's fine. As far as you have good understanding, good background understanding of Kaveri water issue, which we have discussed many times, as I already told you. This one is written by a congressperson power of persuasion. He's talking about Congress, what Congress has been, etc., etc. So again, it's a political article. As far as I am concerned, right, I don't discuss this sort of articles. I'm not saying that they are not good articles. They are, of course, biased articles, right? If an article is written by a person from BJP, then that article will be talking about good things about BJP, isn't it? Same thing happens with the Congress or any other party. Yes, if article is written by a union minister, or say, for example, any minister of any state, then we do entertain those articles because they are not pure political articles. You may find a couple of lines that are political, but most of the items that are, and this is a good way of preparing as well. When you find articles written by union minister or state ministers, right, you should go through it because it will give you some official data, and it is basically an official article. So I think enough has been said about what we have got on table. Now let's analyze things in detail, right? And remember, these things are not waste of time. It will give you a good overview of what we are going to talk about. So this is very important as well. It's bit introduction portion here. With this, dear friends, a 50% discount is available on our pen drive and tablet courses, right? You can see on your screen we cater many different exams. One thing about our pen drive and tablet courses is that they are designed by the best faculties of our country. So the item or the quality of items that you get from our pen drive and tablet courses is possibly the best in the country. To find out more about it, check out StudyIQ.com. You can give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen. Remember, 8th June is the last date, right? 8th June is the last date. So make sure you make the most out of this 50% discount. You can get in touch with me via Facebook page or Twitter handle. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this lecture with other people as well. Now, preemptive strike. Monetary Policy Committee of Reserve Bank of India. You have 6 members, right here. You find these details here. You have 6 members of Monetary Policy Committee. Let me give you a bit of background. It's going to be revision for regular students. So you have 3 members from RBI and you have 3 members from Government of India. Now the reason is why we need this Monetary Policy Committee. Earlier on, what used to happen is that every stakeholder used to come to RBI and ask for either increasing repo rate or either decreasing repo rate. Now you have various stakeholders. I'll give you just one example and this will help you. Like say, for example, a person who is retired, right? A person who is living on pension, say for example, this gentleman or this lady would like to see repo rate going up, because if the repo rate goes up, then the pension amount will go up as well. So it will be beneficial for this person. But for a person who has borrowed a loan, right, for this person it would be a big issue. If the repo rate goes up, then loans become expensive. If loans becomes expensive, that means he or she would be paying more and less saving in their pocket. So it will not be appreciated by a person who has taken loans. So you see here you have stakeholders who have their interests are contradictory to each other. Then government, you have government wants to see lower repo rate. At the same time, government wants to see inflation should be under a sort of a safe level. So this was government, of course, being one stakeholder, was expecting this thing from RBI earlier on. Then you have businesses, right? Let's talk about giant businesses, giant companies. They borrow money from different banks and they would, of course, like to see this repo rate going a bit down, because even a 0.25 basis point increase will result in crores and crores of rupees of interest for this giant companies, isn't it? Because the amount of money that they have borrowed. So they would be nudging this government to do something about it and to pressurize RBI so that this repo rate is down most of the time. So this sort of things were going on earlier on, and this was something that was creating pressure on RBI. So Urjit Patel Committee, this thing happened before he became governor of RBI. Urjit Patel Committee came out with this suggestion that we need to have Monetary Policy Committee in which you have 3 members from RBI and 3 members from Government of India. And final decision, right, just in case if there is anything, sorry about that, just in case if you have 3 and 3, total 6 members, decisions will be taken by voting system if a majority of members, if they agree. So if 4 members agree with something and 2 members disagree with something, then of course the things that are said by these 4 members will be taken on board. Just in case if there is a tie, right, what will happen if there is a tie? If there is a tie, and pay attention to this thing, then governor of RBI governor's decision will be final. If he is saying that 3 RBI members are saying inflation, this repo rate should go up, 3 government members are saying that repo rate should come down, and if there is a tie, then RBI governor's call will be final. One more thing that I would like to add here as I'm explaining a bit of monetary policy's background. The reason why we talked about this, or why Urjit Patel committee came out with this 3 members from government, so that you have a fine balance. It's not that RBI taking all the decision earlier on. That's what used to happen, and because of this thing, different people used to pressurize RBI, as we have already discussed. But now when you have 3 independent members, they are basically picked by government, and once they are picked by government, they become part of this monetary policy. They are not interfered with. Their decision is more likely independent, right? Because they all are famous people. It's not about famous, but they are eminent people. They know good thing about economy, and they are lecturers, and they are eminent persons basically. So that's what we expect, that government will not interfere with this thing. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee has decided it has in fact hiked a key interest rate. Now, don't get confused with this sort of items, or you can say this terminologies that they use. A key interest rate is basically policy rate. It's basically repo rate. If you want me to give you a bit of background or explain what repo rate is all about, it's very simple thing, right? Regular students, just bear with me. I just want to cover this thing for new students, right? So RBI is a central bank of our country, right? And then we'll take example of SBI, right? State Bank of India. Now SBI needs some money, so it will deposit government securities, and based on this government securities, RBI will give money to SBI. Now this is not done on based of charity. Of course, interest rate is charged. So basically the interest rate at which you get money from RBI, or as SBI or any other bank will get money from RBI, that interest rate is called as repo rate. Very simple to understand. Then there is also a term called reverse repo rate. Now what is reverse repo rate? Reverse repo rate basically means when RBI needs money for whatever reason, right, SBI can give this money to RBI, and the interest rate that SBI will charge to RBI is called as reverse repo rate. Now it's not just about taking and giving money, it's more about controlling the flow of money in the market. I'm just going to rub this thing off. Now why government or why RBI wants to, very important concept of economy that we are discussing here, so pay attention to this thing. It's not stretching the matter here, right? I want this thing to be absolutely clear. Open your mains examination paper, and after your understanding on this basic things about economy, you will find yourself that so many hours of your economic work, right, economic studies will be saved. You will understand things a bit more in in-depth fashion after this discussion, hopefully. So why we need to control the flow of money? See, the thing is, when I'll give you one example, if every month if you are getting 500 rupees right, as a pocket money, then you will be very careful, isn't it? Because 500 rupee nowadays is not that much big amount of money. So you have to be very careful. You will not, this is talking about once a month, right, 500 rupees. So you will not think about going for a movie every weekend, isn't it? But imagine if your parents are giving you 50,000 rupees per month, then you would be using it for many different items, isn't it? What you can understand from these 2 examples is that here the value of money is more, and here the value of money is bit less. When you are getting 50,000 per month, 500 rupees is not that big amount. But when you are getting 500 per month, then even 50 rupees or 5 rupees is something that you will be careful about. Same thing happens with money in the market. If repo rate is down, right, then too much money means banks will borrow money from RBI, and this banks will give money to other people. So you can say the value of money will come down when there is a flow, when there is increase in. It's something similar to this case. When there is a flow of money, then value of money will come down. That means big or huge amount of money chasing limited products that you got out there in the market. So it will kick inflation up, right? Everyone having a bit of money, then of course when your vegetable person, right, vegetable vendor realizes that for you 5 rupees hike is not going to be any problem, then he or she will rise this 5 rupees, isn't it? This is how business works. So this sort of, I'm just giving you hypothetical examples so that you can understand what we are talking about here. So this is how good flow of money or overflow will decrease the value of money. So to control this thing, because when the flow is bit high, inflation will kick in. To control this inflation, the money is made a bit expensive, so repo rate is increased, right? The worries that we have at present is because of this hardening inflation, and when you find inflation going up, you find that flow of money will be controlled. I hope things are clear to you now, dear friends. Now there are some global uncertainties as well. I'm sure you all are aware about it. Rising tensions between many different countries, right? Just take example of West Asia. Then you have strengthening dollar, rate hikes by Federal Reserve, that is USA's Federal Bank, or you can say a sort of counterpart of RBI in USA. You have this Federal Reserve, they have increased their interest rate as well. So if there is an increase in USA's interest rate, then when the money was cheaply available, investors used to borrow money from USA's bank and they used to invest in countries like India. Now if interest rate has gone up in USA, then they will take this money out from this country like India and other developing countries, and they will invest it in USA, because now they can earn more interest when they invest it in their country. So this has resulted in outflow of money from countries like India. Then you have this fuel prices going up. So these are the things, and then I have got a couple of pictures for you guys from Economic Times. You find in detail items in financial papers, of course. Other items that we have already discussed here, you have retail inflation is going to be somewhere between 4.8 to 4.9. We have already talked about this protectionism and volatility and other items. Moving on to another item, this is about no longer seeing eye to eye. Now last week we had this Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore. Mr. Modi talked about Indo-Pacific, but we were a bit different. Our words or our vision is a bit different now. And when I said different, I'm not talking about a drastic difference. We are talking about a sort of difference in shade. You know, we have talked about this thing that you have red color. If you go to buy a piece of red cloth, then you will find different shades, isn't it? Shiny red, you have dull red, and you have light red and dark red, etc. So in the same way, our statement is a bit different, and here what we find is a bit of difference in shade. So earlier on we were talking about this Indo-Pacific region. We have talked about it many a times, but now what we find here is that Mr. Modi has termed it as a natural geographical region and not a strategic region. This is a bit different from what USA is expecting from us, because in the same meeting, in the same Shangri-La dialogue, Mr. Mattis, USA's defense minister, said this thing that Indo-Pacific is a priority theater for America, and they have recently changed the name as well, right? It was Asia-Pacific, and now they have termed it as Indo-Pacific. They want to make sure that this revisionist powers, that's what they call, Mr. Mattis has called China and Russia as revisionist powers, and they want to make sure that these two powers or these two countries are kept in corner. As far as India is concerned, we have clarified this thing, and a couple of days ago we were talking about this thing that we are capable enough, I think it was yesterday we were talking about this thing, that we are capable enough to have good relationship with all these three countries. Look at the small countries, what do they do? You have Sri Lanka, you have, see, I'll just give you one example of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is a country that is considering India as its best friend, right? But that does not mean that Sri Lanka will dance on the tune of India. It is also developing, or it has in fact developed good relationship with China. It has decided to conduct some sort of military exercise with Pakistan as well. It is so this is how it is rolling, and India cannot do anything about it. What we can do is basically we can be more cordial to Sri Lanka. We can be more sensitive to their needs. This is the only best way we can do. If we try to bully Sri Lanka, then of course this will create an opportunity for countries like Pakistan and China, and it will become easier for them to tilt Sri Lanka towards their side, and it will become a bit of problem for us to get back Sri Lanka either in neutral position or a bit tilted towards our side. I hope things are clear to you. So in the same way, we can do what Sri Lanka, Nepal and other countries are doing, right? We can keep a fine balance with all these three different countries, and we can make sure that we can make the most out of means I'm being very diplomatic here, but we can make the most out of the issues that are going on between these three countries. So we can do it because of our population and other things. We have many things in our favor. Now, things are a bit different, or many things have changed in last 1 year. A year ago, we saw this issue of Doklam. It was a very difficult phase between or in the history of India and China. Remember that we have 2000 plus year old history of interaction with each other. But in this 2000 year, we have witnessed war just once, right? So, but the war is this you can say this stain is in the modern history after independence. So, Doklam was considered as a sort of second war may take place, between these two giants here. But thank God everything is sorted out. Then we know we were opposing, in fact we are opposing BRI, but we were a bit aggressive at that point of time. And we were a bit loud when we joined this quad as well. But at present things are changed. Things have changed quite a lot, because we had this informal meeting, and this quad formation is going to hold its second meeting today. But we are going to be, we are not going to be that aggressive against Russia and China. We have rejected Australia's request to join this Malabar exercise. Now, let me throw you one question, like, tell me the countries that are part of this Malabar exercise. Now, Navy Chief Admiral Sunil Lamba has also said that there is no vision or there is no plan to militarize this quad. Yesterday, most of you have responded with this quad, and your answer is right as well. India is in fact going to do this joint military exercise, being part of this SCO, that is Shanghai Cooperation Organization, led by Russia and China. This is going to be, I think, first time when Pakistan and India are going to be in a same group that is going to conduct this big military exercise. We have also said this thing that we will not pay any heed to this Iran and Venezuela sanctions that are applied by America. We said this thing clearly, that we follow or we obey rules of United Nations only and not of any particular country. Then we find problems between India and USA as well, like American steel and aluminium tariffs. At present, America has put this steel and aluminium tariffs are gone up. Then H-1B visa is still not sorted out. Cancellation of H-4 visa. Then USA wants to flood our market with their dairy and pork products, which we are not happy about. We are saying no to this thing. Indian price reduction on medical devices is not appreciated by USA. Reserve Bank of India has came out with new rules that this USA's companies, right, they need to store their data in Indian servers rather than storing it in USA servers. So this is something that is not accepted by USA. So you have some couple of problems between India and USA. Then we also saw this Harley Davidson and Royal Enfield issue, right? Mr. Trump said that we need to get rid of this tariff on Harley Davidson or motorcycles, because they are not charging anything on Royal Enfield. But we are worried about this CATSA. This will create problems for our defense purchase from Russia and Iran nuclear deal, right, is jeopardizing. This Iran nuclear deal is not going to help us because we have invested heavily in Chabahar and other places. The other problem is that it's difficult for our Ministry of External Affairs and Indian Embassy in Washington to deal with Trump administration, because we see that repeatedly, right, in past couple of years, we have seen 30 key administration officials, either they have resigned or they have been sacked. So it becomes a bit difficult. Every new officer comes with his or her new vision. Now, moving on to something similar, it is about JCPOA. You know the background. Now, basically, the most important item is that Iran has indicated that it is going to enrich its uranium. It will not produce centrifuges, it will just enrich uranium. So it is a bit of, tactic of creating pressure, because it has not got anything from E3, you can say, right? E3 countries. Give it the name of E3 countries. So what do you understand by E3 countries? And then you have Russia and you have China. I'm sure it is going to be easy question for you guys, but anyways, let's see how many of you can get it right. So because Iran has not got anything substantial from this Russia, China and E3, it has came out with this statement that it is going to go ahead with enrichment. Let's wait and watch. This one is about Monsoon Yagna. Now we are going to pay more attention to this historical items that you find here. See, if there are people, there are a few sections in our society, there for them the physical, emotional and psychological needs have not changed. They are living in the same situation in which people used to live, right, a couple of centuries ago. Many people, they don't have electricity, they don't have access to newspaper, internet and many other things. So development is something that is a bit unknown to these people or this section of society. I don't mean to say means it's not that you are living in a village area or remote area. No, you find this sort of people in urban area as well. I'm sure you'll agree with this thing that many times we find people living in urban area, and we find that it's not necessary that all people living in metro cities they are up to date with latest technology and they are rationalist, and it's not like that. India is a very diverse country in this sense as well. Now, religion and politics has always been closely interlinked with each other. Very important statement. You will find nowadays, see, Babas are becoming politicians. Many times we find politicians saying this thing that religious or spiritual leaders should not interfere with politics. But if you go back to the history, and let me tell you that when I say Babas are becoming politicians, I don't mean to say that Babas are wrong, and I don't mean to say politics is a bad thing. Not at all. It all depends, right? What is our own perspective? How do we see the world around us? So if we go back in the history, then we find that politics and religion has always been, in most of the part of the world, you will find this thing that they have always worked with each other, many a times beneficial for the country or for the nation, and many a times you find that it's not always good for the nation or for society. But anyways, this sort of yagnas cannot be created by any particular state government. What we need is, we need more proper ways to store water and use it more effectively and efficiently. RBI rate, we have already talked about it. Outsource non-core duties to Delhi police. This is going to be of Delhi police to private players. This is going to be very interesting experiment. If this thing is successfully implemented, then this can be replicated in different parts of the country as well. So police can focus on just core duty. Maternal mortality ratio in the country drops to 130 from 167, but then you have major big states like Gujarat, you find a drop of 53 points in progress. So not that good as far as Gujarat is concerned, but anyways, things are going on. Then you have this World Bank is going to take part in this Atal Bhujal Yojana, 6,000 crore rupees Yojana implemented between 2018-19. Very important Yojana. Pay attention to this thing because water is a very important natural resources. So Atal Bhujal Yojana, and 25% of total area that you have here. See, Gujarat, Haryana, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, they fall in this overexploited portion of our country. Groundwater is something that we need to look after very well. We don't look after it very well, then you have no change in H1B visa policy. EU plans retaliatory tariff, more protectionism and more global issue. Iran, we have already talked about this thing. India's rank has marginally improved in this peace index. To go through this article, who comes out with this peace index and all these things. Cooperative banks can perform as a small finance bank, and President has given his note to this insolvency and bankruptcy court. These are your answers. And yesterday, one of you have asked me what was the word, right? It is hellish. Hellish basically means something very bad, something very extreme. These are your 2 questions here. Thank you very much for listening. Enjoy your studies. Enjoy your day. Make sure you share this lecture with other people. Look after your environment. And don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.